Sean and Joe, another episode ready to go. They're gonna talk about the good and the trash and anything in between. Cherishing make-believe, get ready for Halloween. It's the horror show. I know you missed those guys. Tune in and find out what's on their list tonight. They butcher and dissect, take apart and mutilate. Listen to your two favorite brainiacs communicate. It's the horror show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Horror Show. Show that dissects, mutilates, dismembers, and butchers all of your favorite and not so favorite horror movies and other horror-related events. I'm Sean.
I'm Joe.
Hello, Joe.
What's going on?
Nothing. We got an early recording sesh.
Yes.
It's 5 p.m. Very early.
5 p.m. and you'll probably hear my kids yelling and stomping about upstairs.
That's fine. My favorite sound is the marble, where it sounds like they drop a marble and it's just like do.
It's
but like,
which I was just telling Sean, they like don't do that during the day. It's just when I need them to be like somewhat tame. they find something to make the most noise.
Well, it's so crazy, and like when you're in a house like with 2 floors, which I've never really had in my life except recently. The shit you hear from downstairs sounds like a fucking murder. Like one time, like James did something. I was working out in the basement and I heard the most insane noise of my life. And I ran up because I was like, he's fucking dead. Like he's done.
Jesus.
This is it. This is the end. Walked up and he's just laying on the couch. And I was like, what the fuck was that noise? And he's like, oh, I moved this thing. And I was like, what? That is not what I heard. I heard something fucking exploding, like a child falling off of a ladder or something. Like, what? He's like, no, I'm fine. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Like everything somehow shakes the foundation. It's amazing that houses like stand up, you know?
Dude,
like everything moves.
I agree. This is a dumb question. How long do houses last? Like, really? Like, we're getting to a point in New England, and I feel like I might be even asked this on the show before. How long does a house fucking last?
I mean, like the foundation itself?
Like the foundation in the wood? Like, eventually
you're gonna
you have to get rid of it?
But the foundation, I don't know. That's a good question. Because, like, we have houses that are from, like, the 1700s.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Down the street from me. But you definitely have to update everything else.
Like, New England, like, does that wood last that long? That's kind of crazy.
Which, like, that... There's a term for this. But it's like, you call something, but if you replace every piece of it one by one, you know, is it still that thing?
Oh,
right?
yeah,
so, like,
yeah.
if you have a house from, like, the 1700s and then... You know, one year you make an upgrade, and then the next year you make an upgrade, and then eventually, like 150 years later, there's not a single original piece left of it.
Right?
Can you still call it that?
I don't think you can.
but yeah, I don't know. It was built in the 1700s.
It's interesting, actually, and all of our listeners are like, "This is not." By the way, this is not interesting at all.
You don't want to hear us talk about paradoxes?
How long a house can last. Hey guys, welcome to the Horror Show. We're going to talk about houses built in the 1700s, and if you replace every piece slowly over time, if it is that house. I'm
going to go stand outside that house on the corner and scream at them that they're frauds. This is false advertising.
Fake. I want to give a quick shout out to Freddie Torres. Now, this is the second email I've got with this request, and I think it is interesting that this is becoming a thing, but Freddie Torres, a fan of the show, he sent me a very nice email. I responded, and then he responded back with, it would mean the world to me if you called me a piece of shit on the show. So, Freddie Torres, you piece of shit. So there you go, buddy.
Dude, I've been telling you, man, we got to make piece of shit merch.
We're just like the worst fucking people at like knowing what our audience
doing
wants.
Stuff for ourselves. Yeah.
Like the fact that dude, and I swear to God, as soon as people started pointing out that I said it a lot, I like stopped saying it. I feel
that's also true.
I feel like that happened, and it's not intentional. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I also don't want to be like fucking, I don't know. Who has a good catchphrase? Fucking
Mr. T.
Mr. T. I don't want to be Mr. T. Oh, Mr. T, known for his catchphrases. Yeah. We got a movie today. Fright Night Part 2, 1988.
Oh, since we're already going off the rails.
Yeah.
I did want to highlight Amy, one of our listeners, Amy Amanda. I don't know if I should say the last name.
Yeah.
But she has really been pushing for us to do Jaws movies, the Jaws series, over the summertime, which I think would be really fun, especially the sequels, and to have Paul on, because Jaws is Paul's favorite movie. So that something to think about.
I'm definitely down. We've done none of them, right?
None of them.
That's so insane.
Which is crazy. And like we talked about it on Patreon. We think we're going to do 8 movies for April.
Yes.
So the summertime have a shark theme, but with the Jaws movies.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're probably due for that, right?
Oh, for sure. I definitely think that, especially because we're doing like better movies now.
Having Paul on and telling him that all of them are better than the original.
You know what's the craziest thing? So I'm obviously a part of some torrent websites, one of which is like a private one, so you have to watch your ratios and seed and all that. So I have like a ton of movies, and I usually only go there when I have something I can't find anywhere else. So for instance, I had to get Cruel Jaws on there, which has a total of 7 people seeding it. Somehow that is higher than like so many good movies on my list of people that have seeded from me. It's like one of the highest, most downloaded movies on my list. And I'm like, who are all these people coming to get fucking Cruel Jaws over like, I don't even know. Like, I mean, all these lists, I guess I'm looking at them now and I'm like, these aren't very good either, but whatever. But Cruel Jaws, it's a thing people want. Does that count? I mean, we did that for a live show.
We did a live show.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, Paul would never do that again. But I think we should do all four Jaws movies.
There's only 4?
There's only 4.
And then Cruel Jaws was supposed to be Jaws 5.
Dude, 4 is honestly way too fucking many when you think about it. Like, I like the sequels, but
when you think that they killed the shark in the first one, yeah, that is
blew up the shark, and they resolved the conflict, right?
When 1 was a one and done, yeah, I guess 4 is a lot. 4 is way too many. Especially, let's say,
4th one's a fucking revenge film. What are we doing?
And let's segue that, because you're talking about a franchise called Fright Night that only has 2 fucking movies, and they're not bad.
Sean, okay, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because I've seen Fright Night Part 2 before. It did nothing for me. I actually didn't like it, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Watching it again right now, I fucking really liked it. I don't know what to tell people. I thought it was actually really, like, it's not as good as the first one in terms of like filmmaking and like the horror, but it's a perfectly enjoyable film. Like, I really had fun with it.
Yeah. And I think that, answers the question for this one. Would you recommend it for sure for me?
Yeah, I would. Absolutely.
It was, I'm trying to look up the budget on this one. It's not even listed here. Let me see if IMDb has it.
Dude, they tied in like even the vampires tie into the first one, and it makes sense. It doesn't make you like groan. And the character arc of Charlie, I really fucking liked, which we'll talk about. But the fact that it starts off with him not believing in vampires, and of course your first thought is like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Like, literally just watched him fight vampires for 2 hours, right? But he doesn't believe in them because he's seeing a psychologist who's like, hey, guy, vampires aren't real, and that was a serial killer who, like, tricked you, and your brain is, like, recovering from this trauma. And I just thought that was like, a way better plot point than a Fright Night Part 2 should have had.
Oh, getting Charlie to a different place as a character, I thought was going to be like really fucking hard. I was just expecting a rerun of Part 1. And that was not the case. We got a really fleshed out story with Charlie that works out really well.
It does.
So here's the thing with 2 though. It has a weird little backstory. The budget is estimated at $7.5 million. Which is less than the estimate of the original, but the estimate of the original is $7 to $9.25 million. So it's not like that far off, but it's weird the concessions people give this sequel, because if you read about it, they're like, oh, you know, it went to this different company that made it, which was, and I don't know if you know the background on this, but, Columbia Pictures distributed it, but it was made by, I gotta find it. Oh, goodness gracious. Why can't I fucking find it now? Cause there's a story about this. I'm sorry that I don't have this offhand. I don't know. And why does this not work? Hang on. Oh, Vista? Is it Vista? Vista? No.
I don't know where you're asking.
Hang on. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry, because I'm not going to edit this fucking out.
Well, while you're looking it up, we could say directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who, of course, did Halloween 3. He did the original It, the TV series. He did the art production on John Carpenter's Halloween. And then, of course, he did the horror show favorite. He wrote Amityville Part 2.
Oh, he wrote that?
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing. I didn't see that one. All right. So the project had been dumped by Columbia. So Columbia loses it, and it's picked up by New Century Vista, which was owned by a man by the name of Jose Menendez, who would be murdered.
By his kids?
Shortly after by his children. Yeah. Eric and Lyle Menendez. Now, so, and the reason I was bringing that up is because, like, so people were like, oh, it got sold to New Century, and that's why the budget was low, and that's why it sucked. And it's like, well, the budget isn't that low, and it didn't really suck that bad. But it did not get the distribution that it needed. That's a fact. Like, it did not get in the theaters. Like, it got into a handful of theaters for some reason. Don't know why. Don't know whose fault that is. The cast of Fright Night 2 confronted Jose about it, and he was like, basically like, go fuck yourselves. And then shortly thereafter, he was fucking killed. And then, I think Columbia took it back over somehow and then immediately pulled it from theaters. Immediately, as soon as, like, any movie that company was involved with basically got pulled out of theaters and went straight to video. So anything that was going to happen with Fright Night basically died there. But also, like, it's weird because the movie's not bad. So and people are like, yeah, that ruined any chance of a franchise. Like, people thought it was going to be franchised. And I was like, I don't think that's the issue. I don't think it's like the stain of the Menendez. No one knows that he's tied to this.
Yeah, no, I don't think, like, if you were to bring that up to anybody prior to hearing you just say that, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, that was the curse that died with Menendez.
So I feel like it's like, I don't know. I feel like people are like trying to find reasons why it failed. And I think ultimately it just didn't have enough eyes on it. And maybe, I don't know.
And the reviews weren't good. The reviews weren't good at all.
But it's not that bad. Like, I don't know.
Oh, no, I agree with you. I'm just saying the masses didn't like it.
I'm trying to think about 88. Like, what was going on in 88 where people would be like, this thing's such a piece of shit.
One thing that I personally thought, like, made the connection of while watching this is that Lost Boys came out the year before, right? And they made these vampires very, like, there's a vampire on fucking rollerblades.
I know.
You know what? They were definitely watched Lost Boys. We're like, we gotta like up the game and keep up with what they're doing there. So what would Santa Monica vampires do? Probably rollerblades. So they decided to put that in this fucking movie.
And what's crazy is the guy that made Fright Night 1 in 88 goes on to make Child's Play. I mean, maybe the whole fun, I'm looking at them right now. Maybe the whole fun horror was kind of dying at this point. Friday the 13th, 7. Jesus. I can't believe that's 88.
Well, 88 had Beetlejuice and Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah, so that's not the case.
Still pretty lighthearted. I think Lost Boys really changed, like, it put a nail in the coffin for vampire movies. Like, you're not going to touch that once that came out, especially the year after.
Yeah, I guess that's true. What an interesting thing. Cause I don't think, like, I enjoyed it. Like, I don't see much of a difference between this and a lot of movies in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like, it's not bad by any means.
Like I said, I thought it was way more well done than I ever remembered. And I thought the character arcs that they did for both returning characters was honestly really well done. I saw that Tom Holland said in 2020 that he was going to make a film called Fright Night Resurrection and ignoring the sequel, and it's going to be a direct sequel to his original film. If I was skilled at all at what I do, I would see what the status of that was, but that's what I just saw that he said that in 2020.
I mean, it should be an easy sell, I feel like, but I mean, and even the remake did well in theaters. We talked about that. So this is a weird franchise to like kind of ignore, but it seems to not be a seller for some reason. I don't know why. I vividly remember this cover in the video store, though. The all white cover with the
lips.
Yeah.
Classic.
Very erotic for elementary school kids.
Both Fright Night movies have iconic covers.
Oh yeah, for sure. Have you seen? And I know this is just vampire adjacent. Have you watched What We Do in the Shadows, the show?
I have not.
Listen,
I've heard good things.
I was never like a person that was like into it. Like I liked the movie. It was fine. And I started the show and I was like, whatever. And then I like decided to just start like binging it while I work. That shit is so fucking funny. And there is an episode in the first season, I think it's the final episode, where it's like a meeting of all the local vampires. Dude, they somehow get Wesley Snipes to be in it. And they're like, holy shit, he's a vampire? And it's such like, and there's so much vampire lore. Like, I don't know. I think it's so good. And I'm like starting to dig vampire lore because of these movies.
Good segue into this movie. There's something that happens at the end that they do to one of the vampires. I'm like, that can't be a thing. I never fucking heard about that. So I Googled it. It's 100% part of the vampire lore.
And that's so crazy. I know I did the same thing, and it's, I don't know. I kind of dig these movies, these Fright Night movies, or vampire movies in general, just to kind of see what they do with the like lore.
Dude, and that's like my favorite part about pre-internet movies and music too, right? Like now you can just Google it and look it up. These guys had to actually research vampire lore, which is like go to the library and take out actual books on vampires, which is nuts.
And probably get like double checked on it, right? Like because they're like, well, we can't believe one book, so let's get another fucking book out of the library.
Massive research. Dude, I think about that all the time with bands like Morbid Angel, because like now you can just Google something and like find like demon names or like Lovecraftian names, right? These guys are singing about this pre-internet, and you're like, where are these guys finding this information? What are they doing?
Fucking, how do you learn about mung if not the internet? Munging somebody.
Mung?
Wait, is munging a verb? Is mung a verb or is it?
I mean, it's not a thing, period, but.
It had to have happened somewhere. Jenkums and.
It didn't. Mung has never happened. It's fucking nuts.
Dude, the internet was like, I love that we talk about how terrible the internet is now. It was just so much more off the rails in like those early years, dude. We were way too young to be reading about Mung. Like,
well, I mean, parents at least know what goes on the internet now.
Well, I guess.
Like, hey, I have access to the internet. What am I going to look at? Rotten.com for 3 hours. Okay,
like our parents, like, can you think? Oh my god, could you imagine if we were like, Mom? Like we sat our parents down today and we were like, guys, at age 13, I went on this website and it told me what mung was. And this is what it is. They'd be like, are you fucking, like, I fucked up as a parent. They'd probably be devastated. They'd be absolutely wrecked with guilt. You kidding me? Fucking, you're doing this under my nose. You were doing this like at the fucking giant desktop computer in the living room.
Exactly.
While I was cooking dinner.
While I couldn't make phone calls because you were tired.
While Grandma was trying to call us. Oh shit. Yeah. So Fright Night Part 2. I didn't know really what to expect going in, but really, really enjoyed it. Should we hop into this bad boy or what?
Yeah.
Hop right in. So it opens up with like a recap of the events of the first one, which they did well, I think, because it's Charlie in therapy, kind of like rehashing these things that we all saw in the first one. But now Charlie, like Joe had mentioned earlier, has denounced the vampire storyline, and really just thinks Jerry Dandridge was a serial killer who was obsessed with cults.
Which, like, we as the viewers saw the events, and it seems so illogical, but like, I think they did such a good job with this, because imagine in real life you were attacked and fought off vampires and then lived like to go on tomorrow, right? Let's say this happened to you tonight, and then tomorrow you just have to go back to normal. A couple weeks down the road, like, you're going to be like, that can't be what just fucking happened. Like, I know what I saw and I know what I did, but like these don't exist. That doesn't make any sense. Like, why would I be the only one to see that? So I just really like that aspect of it.
I think as horror fans, we often get shortchanged on movies where they end it and they're just like, it's fucking chaos all around them. It's like a destroyed house, an exploded fucking house, an exploded fucking neighborhood or city. And it just ends with them being like, oh, thank God that's over. And you're like, what is the world going to think about this? Like, this is not something.
Yes.
You can't just be like, by the way, it was because of ghosts or whatever it is. Like, there was a monster. Like, you can't, you'll be fucking locked up so fast.
This is honestly making me like this more, because no movies like put that into it. Like, not only is he traumatized by what he saw, like, he has to deny what he saw, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. Nobody's going to believe him.
I thought it was amazing because this never fucking happens. We always get that weird thing where as horror fans, we have to just pretend like it's okay that everything's destroyed and this person won't go to jail because they'll kind of believe them somehow. And it's like,
the Monster Squad, those kids open up portals, destroy the entire town.
And they all get just sucked away. Like, there's dead people. There are dead people because of what happened. Like, they can't just let that go. But in this one, they explain it away. And, it makes sense. And it's nice to see that there's like a logical explanation or just some effort to be like, yeah, this is actually what happened. Because it could not have been what I think it is.
Yes.
So I really did. I dig that because that's always something that I think about. And I have to like actively be like, you almost feel like a bad fan for when you question that shit because people get all hard on about it. But it's like kind of fucking annoying when something ends like that and you're just like, oh, and everyone's going to be cool with this.
Yeah. And then like I think they did really good with like the trauma aspect too, because the kid, you would think he would be best friends with Peter Vincent. Like, after you go through that, you would think in like the movie universe, he'd be best friends with Peter Vincent. Like, we just fucking saved the world, right?
Yeah.
Like, we just did this. And he's so traumatized by this, he like feels sick about thinking of Peter Vincent or seeing Peter Vincent. He wants nothing to do with him.
Yeah. No, it's a little wild. Although, I mean, that's the funny thing because he's like, yeah, this Peter Vincent guy can't be seen around him, and immediately goes to his fucking house.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to keep the thing moving. We got to keep the fucking movie moving. So
that's not an exaggeration, by the way. He's literally talking to a psychiatrist, and it's like, I want nothing. Like, I never want to see his face again, and then just shows up there.
Yeah, and there's
his girlfriend.
He immediately takes his girlfriend there for a date. And the therapist was cool too because like he's like, well, yeah, of course you don't want to see him. He killed your fucking best friend. Like, and like it's like, oh fuck, yeah, like he killed Ed, and like so it's interesting. It's very interesting. But yeah, not that afraid of Peter Vincent because immediately takes his girlfriend there the next night for date night. And Charlie looks out Peter Vincent's window and sees coffin-shaped boxes being moved in next door. So it's a little, they're aware of what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, they know.
Yes, for sure.
But there is a spin, so don't, because I was like, oh, okay, just the same movie, that's fine. But it is not. It's not.
No, they make it make sense, yeah.
Yeah, and this one, it's not a single vampire. It is a bunch of weird-ass goths walking into the apartment lobby. Fucking
goths and then Yahoots.
Yahoots
He's so out of place.
So out of place. It gets more out of place when he just starts eating fucking bugs for no reason.
Which they they tied that into his demise, which is so fucking funny.
Because there's two scenes where he's just like, I love moths, and just fucking eats it. Which, by the way, that motherfucker ate a moth, right? Like, that guy,
Yeah, he did.
That guy for sure ate a fucking moth.
Also, shout out to Tina, who walks down into the room and he's like, oh, the guy from Cobra? He was on the screen for like a split second, and that's where she knows him from.
He has a line in this that he delivers. I think he forgot he wasn't on Cobra, and I think he says, "You son of a bitch." I think he says, "You son of a bitch." And I was like, "Oh, this dude just went back in time, baby." Cobra was before this, right? 88?
86.
Okay, yeah. Man, what a cover Cobra was, right?
It was.
Fucking. So, yeah, that's that. We meet the Goths. Charlie and his girlfriend start hooking up in a car. Which, like, they're old enough to not be doing this in a motor vehicle.
They are in college.
Is there any reason to be having sex in a motor vehicle outside of high school?
There's not.
Even in high school or even in college, I would have just rather not have had sex and then had sex in a fucking car.
Sex in a car was like when, in the 50s when the cars were like limousines, right? The back seat of a car. I'm serious. Like those models are fucking enormous. Now you like the back of a Hyundai.
Fucking Jetta. Fucking. Dude, it was the worst. I've only done it a handful of times in a car, and it was just like, dude, your fucking legs, you don't know where to put them. You fucking.
Yeah. Luckily, I had a Buick when I was.
Oh.
So like it was still, like it was old enough.
Yeah, well, you could still get. I remember one time I just opened the fucking car door because I was like, my fucking legs can't.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. At this point, if you're gonna do it, just like find a dark spot and like use the bumper.
Do you? Never mind. Do you remember I had a party at my house and I found handprints and an ass print on my car?
I mean, are you serious?
Yeah. Do you remember that? It was on my sister's car. It was on my sister. I don't know whose it was.
Yeah, me neither.
My sister came in and was like, there's like handprints and like a butt print on my car. I was like, oh, so go clean it. I don't know. What the fuck you want me to do about it?
Sorry about that. You can keep that in.
Okay. All right. I was going to ask you after. I actually didn't know if it was you or not. I remembered who was there. I don't remember what happened, but good times. Great times. Hey, man, you know what? Back then, you're just trying to find your way in this world. And Charlie is too. Charlie's trying to, figure out what's going on in his life. Meanwhile, there's a fucking vampire just laying on the hood of the car, fucking with Charlie's mind, making him see the vampire in his girlfriend and all of that. But a lot of visions in this one. I mean, that's Fright Night's MO. They do the visions. I think that's the one thing I don't like about it is like the constant dreams. That shit pisses me off.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So Charlie has this vision, but it's not. So he's already now he's fucked up because he's gone through all this therapy, feels like he's making progress, and now suddenly he's seeing vampires again. So he's definitely a little worried. Meanwhile, the vampire on roller skates that Joe mentioned before, she shows up and she just dude, every time you see her, she's just skating in fucking slow motion at somebody. And you're like, oh, fuck. And she's not even on roller blades. She's on roller fucking skates. So it's even more silly to watch her just be like, whoa.
And speaking of the Lost Boys, her hair and everything is completely Lost Boys-esque.
It's that punk 80s. I don't even want to call it punk. It's like Billy Idol punk, right? Where it's glam punk kind of.
You stick a feather in your hair.
You just do that and have one colored streak in the front and just wear a fucking tutu around your normal clothes and you're fucking ready. You're ready to fucking party. That's what she was. And she just kills this art student and just fucking drinks the shit out of her. just drinks the shit out of this girl. So she's done. And then we get another werewolf who's played by motherfucking Uncle Rico. Your face.
Fucking Uncle Rico. And he looks like which Uncle Rico looks like in general, but he looks like he could be the son of that disgusting freak from the movie Ghost who haunts the subways, you know? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. I thought you were gonna go with he looks like fucking that werewolf from Turkey Shoot, because that just Uncle Rico's face looks like that guy. Like like Uncle Rico without the makeup looks like the fucking Turkey Shoot Wolfman. But also in this one, why is he a werewolf in this? But he's not. He's definitely a vampire.
He's a vampire and a werewolf because he has like the fangs, but then. Like you'll see right now, he's scaling a building in full Wolfman form.
Oh, dude, he's fully hairy. And then if you could like, you know, I've seen like people draw like old timey drawings of vampires, and they draw them all hairy for some reason or whatever. So I was like, oh, maybe that's the angle they're going with. But then later in the movie, he's got a fucking snout. He's got a fucking like dog snout, and I was like, this guy's a fucking wolf. What are we doing? This guy's not a fucking vampire, but. That's fine. Uncle Rico. So that's Uncle Rico, hairy ass vampire. And he's about to eat a girl, but he's thwarted because she closes the window on his fingers.
Dude, his fingernails.
And he's like, ah!
Falls down.
He falls like 4 stories. And we also meet Brian Thompson here, who's just big and stupid and silent the whole time, pretty much.
As is Brian Thompson.
As is Brian Thompson.
Playing someone named Bosworth.
Which I thought they would play into a little bit more, but they don't. They're just...
Bosworth the Bug Eater. What a fucking vampire.
And like,
by the way, I know we'll talk about it during the scene, but... no, never mind. I'll save it.
Okay. So that's all going on. Meanwhile, Charlie has a dream that the lead vampire, whose name I believe is Regine. Regine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Regine.
Okay.
Vagine.
I mean, they're asking for it. It's not a name. So, Regine shows up to his house, rings the doorbell, and is like, "You're not Charlie Cassidy." And he's like, "Oh, okay." But then she's like, "Do you have a lighter?" So he invites her in. Idiot Charlie cleans up his room because he actually thinks he's gonna, have sex with this fucking woman who's completely out of his league. Also, he has a girlfriend, but whatever. Doesn't matter because it's just a little dreamy dream. She seduces him and bites him pretty good.
Yeah, because he had just cut his neck shaving.
Yes,
he has that open wound.
Wait, now you fucked me up. Now I'm all fucked up because
he's turning at the end.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not a dream.
So it's not a dream.
But it is a dream.
But it is.
He wakes up. Yeah. Yeah.
So did he actually cut his fucking neck? Did he actually cut his fucking neck or not?
Yeah, because he's got a Band-Aid in the next scene.
Bro, but I thought... And she's like, yeah, because the girlfriend's like, oh, your neck doesn't look good. It looks like it's getting affected. But then he's also like photosensitive. He's like...
Yeah, right. No, it happened. But like he woke up.
And cut his neck.
We cut his neck before, prior to it.
And then
he cut his neck and then he went to sleep.
And then she was like, I'm going to suck on that sweet cut.
Yeah. She put just the tip in.
The tip in the cut. See, this is
why I
always use protection, because he had a cut on his neck, and that's all it took.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, okay. Well, all right. I'm fine with it. Hey, listen. It's fine.
Wait, I want to go back. Dude, can we just go back to the Uncle Rico fall real quick? Because yeah. I just remembered when he lands, he gives like a Toxic Avenger Melvin voice. And he's like, "Oh man,
dude, yes, it's the most comical moment of the movie. He falls 40 fucking flights and then it lands and he's like, oh golly." And Brian Thompson's like, "Get the fuck up." Speaking of Brian Thompson, he eats a fucking moth. He just pulls one out of thin air. So keep that in mind. Next day, Charlie's very light sensitive and his therapist is throwing pills at him in the hopes that he'll stop dreaming about vampires. And also this therapist suggests exercise such as bowling. Listen, bowling is not an athletic activity.
What requires more athleticism, bowling or wiffle ball?
Bowling.
Yeah, agreed.
Bowling. The balls are fucking 15 pounds. I mean, as we know, we have friends that wear batting gloves to swing because, you know, the impact of a fucking hollowed out plastic ball and a hollowed out all the equipment of wiffle ball together. If you put it on a scale, all the equipment of a wiffle ball game, it would weigh under a pound. It would altogether, it's probably 11.5 ounces of plastic that you're fucking throwing and swinging. So, you know, and you don't run bases. I'm gonna have to go with fucking bowling for the sheer weight of the ball and your approach, man. There's some muscle movement there. Like, cause I know people are gonna laugh, but like it's not like you're running. But like to stop on that slippery ass fucking floor, you have to have like some muscle to like
wind up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
It's 100%. And especially, I'll just throw this last jab in there. Especially if you have like a speed limit on your pitches in wiffle ball, you can't throw it too fast or not everyone could play. So you can't even throw with a fucking a heater. Oh my word. Participation trophies, guys. So yeah, no, for fucking sure. Bowling, dude, I've been dying to play bowling recently. I don't know why. I've just been jonesing for it. I want to get out there, get on those courts, get on those lanes. I don't know. Do you like bowling?
I do, and there's one right next to my house.
Oh fuck, that's right. Is that one still open?
Sure.
Bro, I'm going cosmic bowling this weekend by myself. If you come there, fuck yeah. Leave the kids at home. We're going cosmic, baby.
Dressed as the vampires from this movie.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring Paul dressed as fucking Bosworth.
Ballsworth.
You know,
dude, wait, Paul kind of looks like him if you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, he's just got a long head. He's just got a long head and he's tall. Like, we'd have to like put the marks on his face, and then get him just a jar of moths to eat all night. Which, by the way, I would say it would take one shot before Paul would start eating a moth just to like fuck with people. Like, he wouldn't do it because we asked. He would do it because somebody else would see it and be like, "What the fuck?" Like, just to throw somebody else off.
Yeah. All right. Well, now I'm in Paulsworth and Cosmic Bowling.
Sounds good. Just act like vamps all night.
Dude, what a nightmare. Imagine seeing people do that.
Nearly 40-year-old men, like
wearing dusters,
and sitting edgy at the table, like just like dancing, because that's what they love to do, just dance with each other. Actually, now I want to bring Tina, just because she'd be like not tell her the plan and just be like, "Hey Tina, meet us here." She'd be like, "I'm fucking
so mortified.
I'm going home. What the fuck is happening? You're not sleeping here tonight." Next up, we meet Richie, who plays Charlie's best friend in the movie. He's not in a lot of it, but
he's in it for like this scene. Right?
He's in it for this scene and another scene, which, you know, they wrote him in as the best friend character, and then kind of just,
dude, it's like they were pitching having another evil Ed, and then we're like, we can't do that. We can't.
Just cut this guy out. That guy would actually go on to play David in Death Spa, a horror show alum.
Oh, wow.
He was also in Star Trek 2 and 3, and he unfortunately passed away like a year after this due to complications with AIDS, which is such a fucking bummer. And he's actually been honored. I guess I get, like, I'm not into like the Star Trek shit, but apparently he was like a character. Like, they were like building this guy up as a character in the Star Trek lore. I think he even came on to Generations for an episode. But R.I.P. to that dude. But he was good in this. I really liked his look and shit. And of course, if you're in Death Spa, you're okay in my book, baby.
Wait, Sean, wasn't Charlie wearing sunglasses while bowling?
Yeah, yes.
That's the fucking most asinine. Was there a reason behind that?
Well, because he was like pretending to be a vampire. Well, like he's like photosensitive now, so now he's like lights, but he's inside, so I don't know. It was not cosmic bowling; it's already a dark ass bowling alley. Also, have you ever seen somebody more proud of himself for bowling than when his girlfriend's like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, bowling, doctor's orders. And he's like, check this shit out. And fucking slangs a fucking I don't even know what you'd call it. He didn't get a strike, but it was, he left one pin up, which is impressive. And then he does his fucking pose afterwards. It's like, you ready to fuck? And she's like, I'm good. She's like, I'm really fucking good. I'll see you later, Charlie. And he's like, what's wrong? I actually love Charlie's character in this. And I think it actually could have been a lot funnier if they like hammed it up a little bit more. Like, hammed up this new, like, egotistical Charlie up a little bit more. But, you know, he goes to, I think he's going to college, and then he sees Richie hanging out with that vampire crew and then getting into their car. They drive away. Charlie follows them, to the apartment, which also happens to be Peter Vincent's apartment. Follows him to the apartment building, and he sees his buddy getting eaten up by vamps.
Yep.
And while that's happening, his girlfriend, he blows off his girlfriend who had invited him to see the fucking shittiest thing. The fucking symphony. Listen, I get it. You gotta compromise on some things, but like, she tells him about the symphony. And he does like this, like, oh, my stomach hurts, like as a joke. And he's like, no, I'll definitely go. But like, dude, what do you expect this guy to do? Come on, fucking symphony. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, so she goes to symphony. He doesn't show up. And she is engaged by Uncle Rico, who's there, who's like the only, dude, like, first of all,
Sean, I don't care if you were rip-roaring mad that your boyfriend blew you off and you had an extra ticket that you paid for. If somebody that looked like Uncle Rico in this movie approached you, it was like, yeah, I need a ticket. There's no way you're being like, hey, come with me.
For sure. That's exactly where I was going with
Just
that.
notify security and be like, get this guy.
Uncle Rico's hairline is out of control. It starts at the fucking top of his fucking head. And he's got, it's a fucking mullet, but not by choice. It's just because where the hairline fucking starts. It was long hair, just slicked back. And he shows up and he's like, hey lady, you got a ticket? Would love to go to this. Like, dude, like this is, no, that doesn't happen. Scalpers for the symphony? What are we talking about here?
And again, just that appearance. If it might have worked, like maybe Colin Farrell's Jerry like could pull that off, right? Mm-hmm. But not this fucking guy.
Dude, he's wearing like a fucking Canadian tuxedo, like fucking denim shirt tucked into denim pants, and it's like, I love the symphony. No, you don't. Get the fuck out of here. I hate to be that guy, but you should have been like, name 3 fucking songs, and he would have been like, no, this guy is not a man that visits the symphony. But yeah, so she actually does, by the way, fun fact. She's like, abso-fucking-lutely, here's a ticket. So that's that. Meanwhile, Charlie heads to Peter Vincent's house to get help again. And guess what? But Peter Vincent, who I'm pretty sure in the first scene was like, Charlie, fucking vampires are real. Like,
Dude, the first and second time you see him, he's like, I don't know, like, what's your problem?
Yeah, like, why don't you believe what happened?
He's like, why aren't you returning my phone calls?
And then Charlie shows up and is like, dude, vampires are real, you're right. And Peter Vincent's like, all right, take it easy, pal. Get a fucking grip. But they're framing it in a way that Peter believes, but he doesn't think it could happen twice, which is silly, but...
Dude, is it though?
No, you know what? You're right. You're right. It's the Clark Kent thing, right? The Clark Kent glasses thing that we have this conversation about. And I think we've had it on the show, which is like,
it seems stupid that somebody wouldn't be able to tell.
But you wouldn't believe that a fucking Superman is dressing up as a fucking guy by putting on glasses.
Dude, if your fucking bumbling idiot coworker was like, I'm actually Superman, you're like, you're fucking not. Like, I can see the similarities, but you're just an idiot.
You look like him, I get it, but that you're not. Shut the fuck up, pal. You're a fucking idiot. Fucking dweeb. Like, that's what I think it is, and I think you're right. Like, I think you could be like, holy shit, we definitely fought a vampire and killed him. But if you showed up again, you were like, vampires are back, you'd be like, all right, no. That
it's happening
fucking
again.
Enough.
Fucking relax.
Enough.
Give it a rest.
You literally told me 2 days ago you didn't believe in him. So get the fuck out of here. You're a fucking asshole. So I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. So yeah. So Peter doesn't believe him. So Peter's like, listen, I'll go. Show me what's going on. Show me these people's apartment and we'll take a look. They go to the apartment. They open up the door. There's a guy with fucking fangs who's like, ah! And fucking Charlie holds up a cross to him and he's like, all right, guy, like fucking get a grip. I think it's a costume party. And it is a big vampire.
That's literally what the guy says to him. Smashes a cross to his face.
Yeah. Get the fuck.
That's actually such a good reaction.
It's like, fucking relax.
Dude, imagine being dressed as a vampire and some guy treating it like it's real.
You open the door and he puts a cross in your face. Kid. Fuck. Get a life. Yeah. So they go into the party. It's a vampire party, which of course is very confusing to Charlie. He's like, no, there's real vampires. They find Richie and they're like, Richie, this has to stop. And Richie's like, I don't have a fucking drinking problem, which was awesome. But he also has no evidence of being a vampire. No bite marks, no nothing. So Charlie's kind of like, oh, fuck, maybe I am insane.
Yeah. Which, again, like, I honestly want to give this movie writing credit because that's good. Like, that ties into the whole theme that we've been seeing so far. He doesn't believe himself.
Yeah. Did we? I wonder. I don't know if I even looked into who wrote the movie. Writers. Oh no. Tim Metcalf and Miguel Tejada Flores. I'm curious if they've done anything outside of this. I'm going to pull them up real quick. But they're about to leave the party and, they are stopped by Regine who shows up. Figuring this would be his opportunity to prove that vampires exist to Peter, you'd think he would do something like show her the cross, but he just dances with her instead.
Well, I mean, she is doing like the Jerry Dandridge seductress thing.
You know what? Yeah, they rely on that a lot in this movie, and I'm fine with it. I'm actually fine with it.
Yeah, no, I prefer the vampire movies to be doing that.
And you know what I was thinking? Ah, man. What I thought would be a cool concept, and maybe they've done it, or maybe, I mean, I guess they kind of do it in this movie. Was it Spider-Man where, like, Mysterio starts, like, sending Peter into fucking, like, different, like, through, yeah, it is Mysterio, where he's, like, Peter thinks yes, it is that movie. So, where, like, Peter thinks he's in, like, an abandoned factory, and, like, Nick Fury's outside, but none of it's real. Like, dude.
Yeah.
Give me a movie where vampires, like, fuck with your reality like that. Like, through that seduction thing, where they, like, change where you are and what you're doing. You know what I mean? Because, like, that stressed me out in Spider-Man a lot, I'll be honest. Like, it actually stressed me the fuck out. Because I was like, how do you even beat this? How do you even fight this? Like,
yeah,
you don't know, you're so disoriented. You don't know where the fuck you are or what's real or what's not. And I mean, I guess in a way, that's kind of what she does in this. Because she, like, Charlie's fucked up in this. Like, he's he's lost in this for most of the movie. So they end up dancing. She reveals her vampire form to everyone, and Peter's like, oh shit. But then she like pretends to take out her fangs and her contacts and like hand them to somebody. And everyone's like, oh, that's awesome. But Charlie leaves the party because he forgot about his girlfriend, Alex. And he's like, oh shit, and leaves fucking Peter there, which I guess isn't that weird because it's Peter's apartment building also.
Sure.
So he wouldn't take Peter anyway. But then Peter, of course, realizes that this bizarre fucking vamp party is an actual vamp party because he starts seeing somebody getting eaten, and he's like, oh, that's a little weird. And then uses his handy dandy vampire detection mirror from the first one and holds it up, and the vampires are not in the mirror as
can't see the reflection. And I love that. I honestly love that scene. And we haven't really highlighted this. Like, I like the horror.
Yeah.
The first one is a superior horror film, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that it's not, but I like the horror elements of this. It's a little bit more goofier, but the looks of the vampire and the elements that they put into it is pretty good.
This holds up. Like, this is what I was like trying to say. Like, compared to other 80s horror movies, this is in line with them. I don't see anything wrong with this, really. I mean, other than it has a superior movie before it, which, I mean, sometimes is a kiss of death. Like, you know, like Fright Night's so beloved. Sure. But, like, I loved it. I have nothing really bad to say about this. It's got the same goof ups that others do, and it's cheaply made 80s horror, and it's fine. Like, I don't know. Like, I have trouble seeing hate for it. Like, I went into this thinking I was not going to like it at all. Like, cause where do you go? Like, I was like, what are they going to do? And that we knew Roddy was in it, and we knew whatever the fuck the guy's name is that plays Charlie's name. You know, bringing those two guys back and none of the other cast, you're like, but they did it really well. So, So Peter just discovered that they are actually vampires. He tries to run away. He's confronted by Regine in the hallway, who's basically like, I'm going to fucking kill you eventually. And he's like, oh, okay. And that's that. Meanwhile, Alex is being walked home by fucking Uncle Rico.
Doesn't Regine reveal right there? I thought it was that scene that she is Jerry's sister.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, she does. And then she turns into a fucking bat.
Yeah.
And that's her beef with Peter is like, they killed her brother.
Killed her brother, yeah. And she's like, it's what I'm going to do to you is going to be so much worse than just killing you, which I like that too, because like she has him dead to rights. Why is she not just killing him? But so she says that to him, but then also she goes on to take his job, which I thought is so fucking funny. A long con, just making him miserable.
Bro, I fucking loved that aspect of this movie. We'll get into it when we get there, which is coming up. But like, dude, that scene, dude, I fucking love that scene. I think that was fucking great. Dude.
Yeah.
Fright Night 2 rocks. Fright Night 2 fucking rocks.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
That's so wild. Oh, yeah. So anyway, Alex, the girlfriend's walking home. She's being walked home by the disgusting Uncle Rico, the psycho fur man, just out of control. But he lets her live. He doesn't do anything. And even Bosworth, Brian Thompson shows up and is like, you're supposed to bite her on the neck, asshole. And that was the Cobra line. I was like, oh my God. It was delivered exactly like the fucking character in Cobra. I was like, holy shit. And Uncle Rico's like, I'm not fucking thirsty. And you're like, all right. And even Brian Thompson's like, I guess. And then he eats a fucking moth again for some reason. That night, Charlie is visited by Regine. And Peter Vincent is fired and replaced by none other than Regine. Fright Night is now Fright Night with Regine. And I just said Regine like 18 fucking times in 3 sentences. So Peter Vincent is no longer the man on television. He's done. Next day, Charlie's acting a little weird. He's a little thirsty. He's looking at girls' necks.
Did the vampires go bowling that night?
Not yet. It's coming. It's coming.
I just want to make sure we talk about that.
Of course we will, because that, of all the scenes, that was like the weirdest part of it. That was like, wait, we need 5 minutes. We need 5 more minutes for this movie. They were just bowling. They were paid by the Bowling League of America to bowling lobbyists. To show how fun bowling really is. So Charlie's struggling with this vampire shit. He's now looking at necks being like, that looks good. And he sees Brian Thompson's character. He follows him into the basement where he finds the caskets of all the vampires. And he's so close to killing Regine, but he doesn't, because she wakes up, I fucks him, and he just like bumbles out of the house, like totally in a trance, like total daze. He has no idea what he's in control of. Almost gets hit by a car, but like comes to, so unable to kill him. And then now Alex is again in the library and is approached by the wolf vamp, Uncle Rico, but also randomly Alex has a photographic memory for some reason, which is not a part of this story whatsoever. I don't know. Dude, she's doing that like speed reading thing with her hand. And she's just like reading. She reads Dracula in like 2 hours.
Dude, Dracula took me like 2 years to read. It's so fucking dry.
I remember I bought it when I was young because, I was like, oh, I like horror books. Let me read what Bram Stoker's all about. It was fucking Once Upon a Midnight Dreary.
Reading Starker's diary, he's just writing to his wife back home for the first half of it. It's so brutal, man.
They don't tell you that shit when you're a kid. They're like, these are classic books. And you're like, oh, okay. And then it's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Read them and like them or you're a fucking piece of shit.
Or you're not even that you're a piece of shit. They're like, you're not smart if you don't like it. It's like, dude, no, it's 2022. We're reading this guy's fucking letter. That's like, I ate breakfast today. Saw a fucking rat on the ship. That was weird. What the fuck? But like back then it was like, oh my God, ships? What an exciting adventure this man is on. Where is the ship going?
You're right. Yeah.
My God, could you imagine being on a ship? So anyway, Uncle Rico again approaches her in the library. So that'll be a thing. And then we get our bowling montage. The vampires and Bosworth decide to go out for the night. And they go to a bowling alley.
They do.
They immediately kill the 2 employees.
Which makes the scene even funnier because the employees are destroyed. And
yes.
One of them's talking and drinking the blood and like it's a massacre, right?
Yeah.
And Uncle Rico's like, hey, ya hoots, don't lose your head over this. And then the decapitated head comes up through the bowling ball dispenser machine and Brian Thompson grabs it like he would a bowling ball. And he is fucking mortified. Like it's the worst thing that's ever happened to him. And he's scared shitless. What? They just killed these 2 and they're drinking their blood. And he's a fucking vampire. Like that's what he does every night. Dude, he's privy to this every night.
Dude, I don't know whether he's a vampire or not. I could not figure that out. But regardless, he's
a vampire.
He is hanging out with vampires on the daily. Like he's fucking out there. Like he's just hanging out.
Think about how he died at the end. He's 100% a vampire.
I think is he though? But why does he have bugs in his tummy?
Because he's been eating bugs all day.
Motherfucker's got a belly full of bugs. I hope we can meet Brian Thompson one day. We just ask him questions about this movie. Even if we have questions about Cobra, which we do, I would just be like, so that bug scene, how did you film that bug scene? Which is funny because like it's the most clear fucking animatronic Brian Thompson face. It's like
his head is big. Dude. I mean, I get that he's dying, but his head is like 100% smaller
Yes. Yeah.
than Brian's actual head.
Yeah. They ran out of clay for the model. They fucking, this is what you get. And yeah, that scene was weird. The bowling scene was weird. And Peter has a realization while watching his show drunk at a bar that he is a vampire killer and he should fucking fix this. This vampire just took his gerb and he needs
Watching Fright Night at the bar. It's so fucking funny. What a show to have on.
Oh, dude, especially this version of Fright Night with Regine, which is like a fucking art film.
Just dancing.
Fucking interpretive dancing and rubbing blood all over her face. Fucking everyone at that bar. Everyone at that bar, if they had been watching Fright Night on another night, would be like, "What the fuck has happened?"
Kick the shit out of the bartender.
Just some fucking giant brawl explodes. It's so fucking weird. Most basic cable unsafe thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. Just fucking whatever.
Fuck. I wish we were 5 years older so we could put Ed Peruta on at the local bar. For those, nobody's gonna get that.
No
if you
one.
grew up in our town of Cheshire. That's a local access.
A local access guy who's still around. He's still doing it, man.
Still?
Yeah, I found it, but
Dude,
it's all
he was like-
online now. It's all on YouTube Live and shit now.
He updated.
He's updated from.
Massive audience.
Oh, that guy. Remember when we were like prank call him?
Of course.
And then remember when one of our friends like took it too far and like became his best friend and like wanted to be his co-host?
Dude, a real Donnie Brasco situation. getting in too deep.
Dude, that's like exactly what fucking happened. That's like exactly what happened. And then it ruined the prank calls because we couldn't prank call him. Like we were like, oh well, he's like co-signed to the show now.
He's like a mole. Yeah, you turn us in.
Right? Yeah, he'd be like, I know these fucking guys.
Yeah.
Fuck. Fucked everything up for us. No one knows what we're talking about. At the library, back at the library, Charlie and Alex are hanging out, and a battle ensues with Uncle Rico, where, as I said, he like turns into like a legitimate werewolf. He has like a fucking snout and everything. And this is the scene that you were talking about with like this vampire lore, because I didn't know this either. She takes a fucking handful of roses.
Yes.
Shoves them into his fucking mouth, and he fucking starts spitting fire and explodes.
Yeah. He's melting. It destroys him. And I'm like, they made that up for this movie. It's a thing. I looked it up.
So what is it, that you stab them with roses?
No, just like roses in general. Like, you could put a rose on their coffin. They can't get out. Kind of like the Shamrock on a Leprechaun thing. But, they are allergic to roses.
Like the famous lore of the shamrock on the box of a leprechaun.
As I was saying that, I was like, wait, that's just that idiot movie. That's not a thing.
Famously, if you lock a leprechaun up in your basement, you just put a 4-leaf clover on top. But, you know what, honestly, they might have stolen that from, like, the vampire lore. Like, I mean, if you're looking for, like, to create lore, you'd probably go to different sources. We'll have to ask Jennifer.
That's legit. That's legit, and I liked it.
That's crazy.
And also, I like that they just decided to throw in the speed reading and photographic memory, like you said, because even Charlie's like, "Thank God you read that book in like 2 minutes."
And retained all of that information. So after this happens, my favorite scene in the movie occurs, which is Peter Vincent shows up at the studio where Regine is filming, interrupts the filming, and tries to stake her on television. He's, of course, grabbed and arrested and brought to jail. This scene is so fucking good. I fucking love it because you're like working on multiple things here. You're working on the crazy guy that just lost his job. And Peter Vincent's like, I'm a vampire killer. I gotta kill her. And everyone's like, this poor fucking guy, dude. Like, off the deep end, lost his job, and now thinks he's like a real vampire killer. Like this dude's fucking lost his fucking marbles. And they bring him to a state sanitarium. And I was like, I fucking love this.
Loved it. And the way it's such like an old man lunge, and like he knows that there's TV security and stuff there. He's stopped immediately.
Yeah.
And having that angle of just be like, oh, this guy just lost his job. He's just a scorned employee, right?
Yeah.
And he's fucking insane. So let's lock him up.
Dude, I thought it was so tight. I thought it was such a good way. And you know what? Now you dispose of Peter Vincent. Peter Vincent is now locked up. He cannot help.
Yeah. And the two kids, the two other characters just murdered this man, and the police show up, which would happen if you made somebody explode a building. So they're also brought in.
Yeah, a library, no less, the quietest place on earth. If somebody hears anything going on in there, you're going to jail. So they're brought in, and Charlie is bailed out by an unknown person. So Charlie is gone. Peter's gone. Alex, the girlfriend, is bailed out by the therapist, which I did think was weird, but that comes into play. But she's like, let's get Peter. And he's like, Peter's fucking locked up. Oh, let's get Charlie. Charlie's fucking gone. Like, he already got bailed out. Like, it's just you. And it's like, oh, fuck. Like, she's in a real situation here, and it's done really well. And it gets worse because the therapist is a vampire now.
Which this brings on, like, I think it's between this and the werewolf falling from the window as the funniest scenes, because this man is the most polite vampire of all time. His demise is laugh out loud funny.
Yeah, they have like a chase around some railroad tracks. She ends up stabbing him in the heart with a giant wood. I mean, it's a stake, but it's like a wood rail, right? And he's
just like, oh, jolly good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Narrating is
really good, but I think you have to get it all the way through. Don't worry, I'll do it for you. Fucking slams his chest down on the fucking railroad and was like, oh, yeah, I think
like, oh, there we go.
To the point where I was like, oh, he's not dead. He's just fucking around. But he is dead.
He dies. He's gone.
It was fucking wild. I kind of dug it. So that's that. Alex is now free to try and go save anybody. And she goes to go save Peter first at the sanitarium. She pretends to be his doctor to gain access because she now has the psychiatrist's like credentials and shit. But really, the real hero here is this weird fucking dude in the sanitarium who we've seen since the moment we brought Peter in, and is just like, fucking Peter Vincent, you fucking rock, man. And Peter's like, I need to kill vampires. And he's like, I got you, dude. And you're like, oh, what the fuck is this guy? Like, this guy's just comic relief. This guy ends up beating the shit out of the orderlies, all the orderlies that are in the way, pulling a fire alarm and allowing them to escape. Like, Alex could have done nothing. Like, she ended up getting in the room with him, which is great, but there was no way to get him out until this fucking orderly just fucking assaulted everyone and then is like, go kill those vampires, my guy. And Peter Vincent's like, I will. Fucking rock. That guy was awesome. So Peter and Alex are now on their way to save Charlie. They prep their weaponry, which includes a holy water like bugs like pesticide sprayer pump, and pencils sharpened to shoot out of a gun that shoots tiny stakes, which I'm fine with. It's silly. They find Charlie, who's struggling. And in walks Richie, who is for sure a vampire, and is like, yeah, just use makeup to hide the fucking marks. And they spray him in the face with holy water. And you know what? I was so glad to see holy water actually kill a vampire for once, instead of just like the little...
It's like hurt their hand?
Yeah, like, my hand got burned. Like, dude, they spray him in the face so much that his face starts, like, cracks open, fucking killing him. Just it's so tight. The special effects in this were, I mean, they were limited for sure, but they were good. All of them were good. But
all practical. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. His face fucking splits apart. It was insane. And then we get our big battle. Regine walks in. Welcome to Fright Night. Which I just love that everyone just says that. all these vampires say that. It's so funny. Welcome to Fright Night. Brian Thompson beats the fucking piss out of Peter Vincent first. Just fucking beats up an old man, which can't be. No one wants to do that. And they're setting Charlie up to feed on his beloved girlfriend, Alex. They've got Alex. They're holding her down, and Charlie is hungry. Charlie is very hungry. As Peter wakes up, he realizes that there's curtains there that he could open up and kill them, which he'll do. Brian Thompson is holding Charlie, right, to bite Alex's neck. The other vampire, roller skate vampire, is holding Alex.
Yeah.
Charlie's move is... Do you want to tell it?
Yeah, you do it. It's all you.
Take the hands of roller skate girl.
Who has long fingernails.
Long fingernails. And use them to cut Brian Thompson's belly behind his head. Cut up his belly. And Brian Thompson falls backwards. It was honestly gross. It was fucking gross that you could like see into his fucking stomach. Brian Thompson falls down and bugs just fucking come out of him as he like deflates, like turns into a pile of skin. Fucking loved it. Did not understand why that happened, but I'm fine with Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas shit. Just bugs pouring out of him. Guy loves it. Also, roller skating vampire gets one more skate here. One more slow motion skate.
The last ride.
And is dispatched by them wrapping her in a priest's robe. And it disintegrates her.
She had such ample time to like maneuver or duck or do anything. She just rides right into it.
It was like a fucking bullfight. It was like they were like, "Whoa!" Like waving a red thing. Like, I'm going to avoid that, I think. Seems like it might be a trap. And he opens the curtains, which scares Regine out of she flies through a door, like just fucking annihilates his door. Gets into an elevator, is going down. I don't really understand what the problem is here, but like Charlie's like, it's almost daylight. I'll die. We have to stop her now. And I don't understand why people are like, let's just wait till tomorrow. It was like a weird scene where it was like, they were like trying to up the stakes, but it wasn't really that necessary. Like I felt like we were all on the same page. Like, let's just kill this fucking vampire. And their big plan is to line her fucking coffin with communion wafers.
I liked it. Dude, I liked it.
I liked it.
Unique.
So, and
can't get into it.
And here's the other thing. They put them like right side up. So they were like vertical. Like the cookies were vertical. So it felt like as if the plan was like, they'll like go through her. You know what I mean? Like, which was cool. And they put it in like the sign of the cross too. But, that's their big plan, and it does not work because Regine flies in, sees the coffin, and is like, no thanks. Just lands somewhere else. And they're like, oh shit.
But she can't move those herself, which I love, so she's gotta do something before daylight.
Oh, I didn't even think about that fucking part of it.
Yeah, she can't touch that. She can't go in her coffin.
Bro, that's so good. That's so awesome. I'm all about it. That rocks. That fucking rocks. I fucking love it. I didn't even think about that aspect of it. Fuck, that's good.
You thought they were just using the wafers as a weapon?
Well,
like to land on?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's what happens.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, listen. We all do it. We're all not that smart, all right? Listen. All right. Well, let's move on from this. I don't need to talk about this anymore. It's all thwarted because Peter Vincent, who is hanging out in the elevator shaft, is using a piece of mirror to somehow reflect sunlight from God knows where, down the elevator shaft into the room and onto Regine, who catches on fire, stumbles into her casket, and fucking explodes.
Indeed. A plus.
A fucking plus. She raises her skeleton hand one last time and it fucking disintegrates. The next day.
Dude, and I like that tool to reflect sunlight from this mirror down to the elevator shaft.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't know where the sunlight came from. They're in a fucking building, but that's fine. It's whatever. Listen, I'm splitting hairs at this point. It's all good. It was a great ending. I really enjoyed it. And it ends with the kids in the sunlight, hanging out in the sun. And
in therapy with each other.
What?
They're doing therapy with each other. Oh, he was laying down.
That's what it
speaking
is?
to her. Yeah.
Oh. And and Alex says, what if there's more of them out there? A valid question. And Charlie is like, I don't know, we'll get married and have kids. Okay. If I were Alex, I'd be like, all right, buddy, like, relax. We can have sex. It's fine. We're dating. Lay it, take it easy. Fuck. I asked you, I'm fucking serious. We just got fucking attacked by vampires.
Wanting to bring kids into the world, knowing that there might be more vampires out there, they're going to try and murder you.
I mean, there must be, because it's just happened twice in like a year span. Like, the fuck are we talking about? And that is Fright Night, everyone. Fright Night 2, rather. Sorry.
Yes.
Fright Night 2. So next week, we are doing our live show next week.
Yes.
That'll be fun. Shallow Graves. It'll be fun. Little springtime, fling time. And then I think we're going to wrap up April with Ape movies, because that's a fucking killer idea. I love it. Thanks. We mentioned it. We didn't really go into detail on it on this show. Thompson, our buddy, forever known as Thompson.
Sorry to interrupt this, but isn't it crazy that moniker is almost like a decade old now?
Yeah.
He's been listening to us since the get-go, and Paul, it's like our first year that Paul told me that joke.
Butchered his fucking name. Thumb. The funniest fucking dad joke of all time. Tom Thumb. More like Thumb. So we'll have, how many more? We'll have, we'll do two weeks of Ape Roll. APERIL, get it? Go do some monkey movies. Maybe we'll do a poll or like get some audience ideas on our show. But I mean, we have to do that one that you brought up. What was the one you brought up?
Link is my vote.
Link, guys, just look up the fucking cover. It's unbelievable. I've never seen a cover like it. And the screenshots from the movie are like the monkey smoking a cigar and shit.
Like I said, I think I have the VHS behind me somewhere, so I'll have to dig it out.
That's so fucking nuts. So Link will definitely be one of them, and maybe we'll do a little poll during the live show. So, and if you want to join our live show, tickets are available at IHateHorror.com, or you can join us over at patreon.com/IHateHorror. The $10 tier, you get you everything, the bonus episodes, the live shows, everything like that. There's only 2 tiers now, $5 and $10. So, and thank you again for everyone's support on that.
Yes.
Y'all are the fucking best.
Best.
So appreciate you all. What else do we promote? Facebook.com/IHateHorror, IHateHorror.com, and Instagram.com/IHateHorror. Joe, where can they find you?
Instagram, Boognish1985.
And that is a wrap, guys. Thank you all so much. And we will see you next week for the live show, guys. And for Joe, this is Sean. Stay weird.
Thank you.
Adios.
I dissect movies all fucking day.
Wanna play?
I'm gonna watch what I'm not supposed to watch.
Dismember.
A fucking zombie getting sliced and diced.
Monster. Mutilate.